On a cold and grey October day in the year 1920, a funeral hearse approached the gates of St. Finbarr Cemetery.
I didn't actually realise that the centenary of 1920 was happening until I heard The Boy from Powderduff.
His parents cried with anguish, the boy from Powderduff.
The song written by John Murphy about the life story of Joe Murphy. The song took hold of my conscience and would not let me alone. It kind of kept calling on me to do something with the song. So I approached John Murphy, a neighbour of mine, and asked him would he be interested in writing the songs for the project. John immediately said yes.
When he told me about it, I thought it was a fabulous idea. And I didn't know too much about that era. And when I started to research, I found that it was extraordinary bravery on the part of the Irish Republicans of that time. I started this project early 2020 when the first of the real severe restrictions came in during the pandemic. The lockdown became longer and longer and I had a lot of time at home. I continued to work on these mosaics. When I was doing my research for the album and learning about these characters, I was really inspired by their acts of bravery. I wanted to do an extra tribute as well as the CD. As I was working on them, I was constantly drawn back into their acts of bravery and how their lives might have been all those years ago, you know, and I hope it'll be a permanent tribute. I hope that they'll last a good many years. Folk music will always be my favourite because it tells a story. It's very, very important for that reason. It comes from hundreds of years ago when it was the only medium for common people to spread important news.
This CD, it's a very easy way to convey the message of the past to a younger generation through the medium of music. And something like that, I believe, will be, no doubtedly stored in the city's archives for 100 years' time when they're looking back to the bicentenary of the burning of Cork, and it's just a fabulous piece of work.
On a cold and grey October day in the year.
First time I heard The Boy from Powderduff, somebody had sent video footage of the song, and I was just blown away, and it certainly tells the story of Joe. Joe would have been arrested in July 1920. The charge at the time was for having bombs in the house, which actually we've proved to be false afterwards. He was arrested and brought to Cork Jail, and certainly he would have joined the hunger strike on the back end of our Lord Mayor Terence MacSweeney, who had started his hunger strike in Brixton Prison. Michael Fitzgerald was also part of that hunger strike, and Michael would have been the first to die. So Joe passed away a couple of hours after our Lord Mayor Terence MacSweeney in Brixton Prison.
In honor and in memory of the boy from Powderduff.
These figures of the revolutionary period, small historical figures, but at the time were just as large as both Lord Mayors. They often tend to get forgotten. It was so fitting when the story of Joe Murphy was brought back from the grave, essentially, and it was relived. It's only right and respectful that we commemorate them with as much honour as we commemorate our two martyred Lord Mayors.
I'm Declan Horahan. I'm a history teacher at Middleton CBS Secondary School, and I also teach politics and society at senior cycle level. Using the CD as a teaching aid, it has helped me to engage the students, especially those students who come from different backgrounds, to kind of tie them in with our local history here in Cork. It's the emotion and the words, definitely. Even as a teacher, we have to admit sometimes that the students can sometimes, not listen to us, or maybe they're maybe sick of hearing us a bit too much. So using the music is a very important tool, and the emotion, especially in this CD, rings true. Using songs like the Delaney Brothers having a massive impact around Dublin Hill, Ballyvolane area, and Delaney's GA Club is called after them. So using things like Google Maps and Google Earth, you can actually zoom in on the monuments like the Delaney Brothers monument, and you can play the song in the background, and it really brings it home to the kids.
It was incredible that on that night nobody lost their lives in the Inferno. But in the early hours of the following morning, the RAC Auxies, entered the home of the Delaney brothers of Dublin Hill and shot them both. Jeremiah died of his wounds within minutes, and Con died a week later in hospital. Jeremiah and Con Delaney had been members of the 1st Cork Brigade of the IRA, but had taken no part in the ambush at Dillon's Cross.
I'll tell you of two patriots when life in Cork was dangerous. Con and Ger Delaney went in answer to the call. They went from playing GAA to fighting with the IRA. It's often said these brothers were the bravest of. We always knew that we were going to have a song about the Delaney brothers because we wanted to feature unsung heroes from that era. But strangely enough, nothing was coming to me about the Delaney brothers. I just had a little bit of information that I had. I was struggling on that one, so one morning I just went for a walk up to Delaney House and I met a local guy walking his dog, and I asked him, did he know anything about it? And the guy actually knew quite a lot. And I was speaking to him for a few minutes, went back home and composed a song in about 2 hours. They loved their Irish culture, against Britain they rebelled. Brave Con and Ger Delaney from the top of Dublin Hill.
When I approached John in November 2019, we had decided that we wanted to produce the album and have the launch in October. So John got down to writing immediately, and by March 2020 I had 10 songs ready to be recorded. COVID just kicked in just as we were ready to start recording. Some of the people involved in the songs were of a certain age and were obviously apprehensive about even going outside their own homes at the time. We just had one person recording at a time with Connor and John in the recording studio to abide by COVID rulings. John kept me informed about everything and gave me demo tapes.
Oh, my name is Peg Duggan and this is my story. I was born near Cork City, a townland just beyond. My sisters and I, Sarah, Bridget and Annie, we were early involved with command.
Tuchsete clean na Heberty a yin na monashin agus nach ravean tracht le blianta fada. Darire na manavi go na man agus manaile I go na sirse agus ins na blianta sin.
Se de bhí cháchéad sa 76 ban buintach leis an éirí amach agus bhí a bharbhór ina míl de chaman amán agus rinne sé déocht ag an ná.
Sometimes on our persons we offered good shelter.
John Murphy ar gara sa Cork Singers Club. Haig sé chum ag íri gom órán marall chaman amán Peg Duggan a chana agus bhí áthas an dónarm agus sppraag sé mé mar ní raibh ólas a go mar na rudaí seo ní rós tris taide dhéanamh ach tá annach chuid ólas istí san órán sin.
Tá.
Peg Duggan tá sé bunthe ar an ráite sa thug siad an Bureau of Military History más bún mo chéine sin an taine tá agus is órán bra agus is brelam a bheith á chana.
Infernal machines. Ar gahar raibh loideach tá dáirte is cráite na daoine ag fullingt go géir. Ní mór doinge seasa bheith gine an tíirnis is tíránig a rógart go deo.
A bhar conservaíigh tusa níos nóair a chúla tú de órán hain bhí Peg Duggan den chéadúir.
Bhí sé go háling a chluisint agus bhí sásta leis mar bhuinas taingemh as an tafad is cuinim hála sé ri COVID agus bhí an ceol atá leis. Bhí sé anarúnach agus bhí sé anas agus bhí anna hásta leis agus táim anna hásta bhfuil sé ann. Agus cad maiol orta?
Sa réag nar ahan mé mo go féin. Ach bhí sé brasás dóiléisteach leis agus bhí an teandagan gohúntaach ar fad. Chuir sé sin leis an tafad síle.
As I reflect upon his life, my love, my knight in shining armour, and though his time on earth was short, and awful was his slow departure, his faith was strong and never wavered, his path was laid from holy tomb, the clocks all stopped, the seas ran dry, the day they brought my Terry home.
Yeah, amazing. I'm always stunned at that because I always, when I composed that song, it was very basic, and I felt the melody was very, very basic. Yeah. And to hear it done then by real musicians, it almost legitimised the whole process for me, for my own input into it. It still gets to me emotionally, and I'm not an emotional type. That's that song in particular, Muriel's song. I was walking around my local park. We were all shut down and bored out of our heads, just walking around the place, and I was stopped in my tracks because it was so beautiful. I just couldn't believe what I was listening to, you know. Yeah. That song really gets to me, and the way Marla sings that.
Yeah, it's a brilliant choice of singer, such emotion in her voice, and then the rest is just getting the music to suit the singer and the lyrics, and you know, you had all the hard work done and you wrote it and picked such an appropriate voice. So
I knew full well exactly the singer I wanted when we decided on the subjects that we were going to sing about.
Yeah.
And all for that reason, like it was about emotions more than voices, really, you know. And as a matter of fact, it's John O'Leary's favourite track on the CD, which is no mean feat. I mean, he's the biggest critic in Cork.
Well, we'll take that, so that's a good job done. Happy days.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Our goal was to have a big concert for the actual night of the burning, and we had Cork City Hall booked, and we had great plans for it. As the situation became more grave with COVID, it was sort of obvious that it wasn't going to happen.
That week, John came up to my house, and I knew he wasn't right. He was coming to ask me to cancel the launch. He knew coming up he was breaking my heart, but I just listened. I said, we've no choice in it. We had to cancel. So we went back and booked another date in the City Hall, and then it became the vaccination centre, and there was no end date, so we had to cancel the second time in the City Hall. And eventually we launched on September 21 in St. Peter's Vision Centre on the North Main Street, and we received a standing ovation.
Oh, John was definitely the glue behind the whole project. Even as myself as the teacher, or maybe John Murphy as a musician and the other singers, like to a degree we'd have an expertise, I suppose, in our field, and that's easy to bring that out when you're discussing your expertise or showing your expertise. But to have the vigour and the determination behind to put all this together, it definitely needed someone like John Leary and his ability.
I was diagnosed in 2016 with Parkinson's. Now, I would presume that most people viewing this documentary will be a bit stunned at the idea that I have Parkinson's for 6 years, because I don't have any visual signs. I know I have difficult times ahead, but what I want to do is I want to live my life to the best of my ability, and I want to show people that just because I have Parkinson's, that it doesn't inhibit me in any way. This is a project that I took on to give encouragement to other people with Parkinson's, let them know that it's not the end of the world, that we can still have aims and guidelines to live by and prove that we can participate.
John and I worked together for about 16 years, so when he came up with the idea, I knew the kind of person he was, and he was the man that would carry it through. John wouldn't have started it unless he had a mind to finish it. He's like a dog with a bone, and I mean that in a good way, you know, which I think that's a good characteristic of anyone. So when the idea was put to me, I was, you know, I had no doubt that he would make sure that it was carried through and done right.
He drives me crazy. He's relentless. The man, he leaves no stone unturned. I'm lazy by nature, I suppose, but there's no way you'll get away with being lazy with John O'Leary. He just demands and demands.
In 2022, we are going to have a second live performance of the album. So this year on Culture Night, we are going ahead with the concert in the library in Hollyhill.
I'm so looking forward to this event coming up, the night in Hollyhill, where we can enjoy Culture Night. And obviously Joe's a huge part of our culture and other volunteers like Joe, so it's great to honour them in such a way.
I think it's important to have this one final concert just to round off the project completely. It will give me a lot of pleasure to actually have one final performance of it, and hopefully we can do it justice again. Right, John, 2 weeks to go to the concert, and we're in the concert space here. So what's the stage plan and the seating plan?
Well, John, I always wanted to have the concert here, so I know what I want for the seating. If you just go this way, I'll show you what I plan. All these shelves, John, are on casters, as you can see. Will be rolled out of the performance area and will be in the children's area. And we'll also seat that space. Again, all the shelving is on casters, so everything will be moved down there, and we'll have seating here. The stage is either there or in the corner, depending on where Mike Daly, the sound manager, wants it. I spent 30 years living one door away from him, and I never had a conversation with him, and I'm proud to say he's my friend now. We disagree, but I've stopped arguing with him because I don't win anymore. He is the most difficult man to have an argument with. He is always right, and he can prove that he's right, but he's a great guy.
What's the capacity going to be at? Any idea?
We have 140 seats, and I think we're at full capacity. I expected every seat to be occupied and some people standing.
Okay.
Because the interest is phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks a great space.
Last chorus once again.
The sandstone tower in the sky, the goldy fish, the clocks that lie, the bells that peal with tuneful song, each step we climb, one short, one long. The bells that peal with tuneful song, that wondrous place where I belong.
So John, anything to add?
Thanks, Susan. I'm just overwhelmed, blown away, honoured. Like, that's such a great choir, can sing my song. It's fantastic already, and I'm sure in the next few weeks it'll even get better than this if it was possible. So thanks very much. I'm very humbled, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the night. So enjoy the rest of your practice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
John. Thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Well, tonight was the ultimate aim for me with this project. I wanted to have a live rendition of the CD. I had 4 very happy years working in this library, and I made a lot of good friends. And a lot of those people are turning up tonight, guarantee that they will be here. And we have a family as well. So basically the people who I want to see the concert perform for the final time live will be the people that will be here tonight.
It was quiet for the last few days, but today we've been inundated with people securing their seats for tonight. So it's set up to be a good night now. I'm a little bit apprehensive, but
I have no part to play in any of this, like, so I can just worry away at my heart's content, and it's irrelevant. So yeah, but I'd say it'll be good. Joseph, he's here. I spoke to him earlier. He came from London this morning. He should be here any minute now to do a little bit of a practice run.
I met John Murphy first at the Cork Singers Club. Just heard this beautiful song that I'm singing tonight about Tomás McCurtain. And when I heard it first, like I didn't sleep for 2 nights after. The song was going around my head, the words of the song, I just couldn't get it out of my head. And then when it came out in the CD, it was absolutely brilliant. And after that, John just asked me if I would like to sing it tonight, and I said I'd be honoured, you know. In the small hours of a cold March night, in the village of Blackpool, a burst of gunfire broke the silence, blood formed in a pool. A man lay dying from his wounds, his wife was knelt in prayer. His little son cried bitter tears, they've killed our own Lord Mayor.
There's songs about Cork, there's songs about Kilmichael, there's songs about the Flying Columns, but there was never a song about McCurtain. He's held in great esteem here, and rightfully so, within our city. For a song to be written about him 100 years after his death, it's a great testament to the respect we have for our martyred Lord Mayor, Tomás McCurtain.
The piper and the patriot, the rebel soldier brave, husband, father, brother, son, sent to an early grave. He fought for Ireland's freedom when the British ruled with fear. Tomás is gone, our favourite son. They've killed our brave Lord Mayor. This place is packed out tonight, you know. I think people are delighted to get out again after COVID, but especially that this project was so long in the making. It's good to see the fruits of the amount of work that has been put into this, you know, so yeah, it's great.
It was a long time coming. It took us 3 years to finalise the project. We've done it, and it was a tremendous experience. Very contented, very satisfied, very happy, and finally it was over.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to thank John O'Leary. It was all his idea, everything. You know, he badgered politicians and people in office to get funding for this. And I heard it on good authority. He's now known in the City Hall as the most annoying man in Cork. So thanks, John. Thanks very much. And good night, and God bless.
If there should be an afterlife, and if in heaven I'm allowed, I will go to Peter and request exclusion from the harp and cloud. For there's no place else I'd want to be than that little city by the Lee. So let my spirit weave its spells among the songs of Shandon bells. the sandstone tower in the sky, the goldy fish, the clocks that lie, the bells that peal with tuneful song, steps we climbed, one short, one long. The sandstone tower in the sky, the goldy fish, the clocks that lie, the bells that peal with tuneful song, steps we climbed, one short, one long. The bells that peal with tuneful song, that wondrous place where I come from.